Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a topic that seems to be on everyone's mind lately,
Yeah,
minimalism.
yeah.
But we're looking at it through a specific lens, one focused squarely on how this lifestyle intersects with families and, critically, your budget.
Right. We've had the chance to dig into some source material from a listener, a document called Minimalism for Living, Family and Budgeting.
Yeah.
And it's really packed with ideas, practical tips, and even some history.
Okay.
So our mission today is basically to extract the most important insights, those, core nuggets,
Mm-hmm.
to give you a really clear picture of what minimalism is, why people embrace it, and the tangible impact it can have on your home life, your relationships, and importantly, your finances.
So if you've ever felt, I don't know, overwhelmed by clutter, or maybe you've been curious about living with less, or perhaps you just want a different perspective on this constant cycle of buying and owning, well, this deep dive is for you.
Definitely.
Get ready for some aha moments that might just shift how you see all the stuff around you.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Let's really try and define this concept. What is minimalism at its heart, according to this source material?
Well, it goes far beyond just tidying up, doesn't it?
Oh,
The
yeah.
source really emphasizes that it's not about deprivation. It's more a mindset focused on value,
Right.
on prioritizing happiness and experiences over simply accumulating material possessions. It's about deciding what truly adds value and, well, letting go of the rest.
And that's a pretty significant choice in our modern world, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, we live in a society that's just so deeply entrenched in consumerism. The source points out that we're constantly encouraged to fill our lives with objects based on trends or what we think we need, often without much real thought.
Ah,
So minimalism, in this context, it's presented as this deliberate, almost countercultural pushback against that default setting.
yeah, it can feel a bit out of the box, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But the potential benefits the source outlines are pretty compelling. One that really resonated with me is the impact on stress.
Oh, absolutely. And what's fascinating here is the idea that there's this, like, quiet, unnoticed stress that just builds up from having too much stuff.
Mm.
It's not just the obvious financial stress of buying things, but the mental load of clutter, the time you spend cleaning and organizing, even worrying about things sitting in storage unused.
Right.
This sort of daily, low-grade stress can really take a toll without us even realizing it.
And that stress-reducing aspect connects directly to another major benefit the source highlights,
Yeah.
freeing up time.
Yes. Less stuff means less time spent maintaining it, cleaning it, organizing it.
Uh-huh.
The source also suggests it might even reduce that feeling that you have to work excessive hours just to afford more things.
Right, to pay for the stuff you don't have time to use because you're working.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, freeing up that time is framed as truly getting your life back.
Getting your life back. I like that.
Yeah. It's time you can redirect towards yourself, towards friends and family, towards experiences like, going to a play or a movie or taking a trip, instead of being consumed by the upkeep of possessions.
Which leads to a simpler, maybe more enjoyable life overall. The source talks about having more time for things like connecting with neighbors, spending time in nature, or, enjoying outdoor activities.
Yeah.
There's even an interesting point about outdoor time potentially helping with allergies. That was a benefit I hadn't really considered before.
Me neither. It feels like breaking that consumer cycle creates the space to appreciate these simpler pleasures, doesn't it?
It really does.
Exactly. And the source also suggests that embracing this mindset gives you a certain edge, like a clear thinking approach that makes you more open to positive change in other areas of your life.
Avoiding complacency.
Yeah, avoiding complacency and inspiring you to be better. It's presented almost as a catalyst for broader personal growth.
Okay, so this idea didn't just appear out of thin air. The source gives us some interesting historical context, showing that, threads of living with less have existed for a long time.
Right. You see it clearly out of necessity, like during the Depression era. People reused absolutely everything, flour sacks for clothes, saving buttons.
Wow.
There was just this deep-seated frugality driven by scarcity.
But the modern minimalism movement, as the source describes it, really started gaining steam later on, didn't it? Particularly in the 1980s.
Yeah, that's right. And it was partly a reaction against the booming economy and the increased consumerism of the decades before.
Interesting.
The source even uses Madonna's Material Girl as a kind of cultural marker for this shift,
Oh, right.
highlighting how people were becoming so preoccupied with possessions that they were kind of missing out on actually living.
But then the source notes this first wave saw a decline in the 90s. What happened there?
Technology, mainly. It became a major driver of consumption again. People wanted the latest gadgets, the newest furniture, all those things seen as symbols of success. That material focus came back strong.
So that consumerist impulse just roared back.
Pretty much. The resurgence that happened around 2010 was apparently sparked by a more, maybe philosophical shift, inspired by stories like there was a millionaire who supposedly shed his possessions to live a simpler life as a beach bum and found greater happiness.
Right, I think I remember hearing stories like that.
Yeah, and that got people questioning the link between stuff and fulfillment again.
So while most people didn't go to that extreme, obviously,
Yeah.
it prompted a broader conversation about living in your life rather than being buried by your possessions. It's a concept that's definitely grown since then.
It has, although the source does acknowledge it's still not exactly mainstream,
Yeah.
given our attachment to comfort and, well, gadgets. And it's also worth recognizing groups like the Amish, who, as the source points out, have lived by these principles, acquiring only what's truly needed for generations, long before minimalism was a buzzword.
That's a really good point. And the source draws this fascinating parallel to the art world, too.
Yeah, the less is more concept in minimalist art.
Exactly. Where minimal detail conveys deep emotion. That scene is kind of inspiring the life movement, the idea that you can say a lot and live a rich, full life with very little actual stuff.
It's about finding maximum enjoyment and meaning with minimal physical baggage. Makes sense.
So, okay, let's take this philosophical foundation and see how the source suggests putting it into practice in, daily life. Beyond just decluttering the house, it touches on areas like work.
Right. The insight here is about applying minimalism to your professional life, too. Prioritizing your time and well-being.
How so?
Well, it advocates for working efficiently and, leaving on time when possible, avoiding that trap of endless overtime or unnecessary competition over desks or whatever.
Yeah.
The core message is that your life outside of work is crucial and shouldn't always take a backseat.
The source uses a pretty powerful analogy here, doesn't it? Referencing the movie Click.
Oh yeah, that movie, where the main character, Adam Sandler, gets a remote that lets him fast forward through parts of his life he finds boring.
Right, mostly focused on climbing the career ladder.
Exactly. And it's such a cautionary tale about misplaced priorities.
Yeah.
He ends up missing his kids growing up, his marriage falls apart,
Yeah.
only realizing on his deathbed that he skipped over everything that genuinely mattered. The source uses this to really emphasize the irreversible nature of time. You just can't hit rewind on your life.
Oof. That's a stark reminder, isn't it? Of what can be lost when work or the pursuit of more material things overshadows relationships and personal time.
Definitely. Okay, shifting gears a bit from work, the source also highlights tiny house living as a very, very tangible expression of minimalism.
Ah, yes, the tiny house movement. It's really captured the public imagination, hasn't it?
It really has. The source defines it typically as living in less than 800 square feet, sometimes even less for the real extremists, like under 500.
Wow.
And it emphasizes that this kind of living forces you to exist with only the absolute essentials.
What's fascinating is the ingenuity required.
Totally. Tiny homes demand multi-purpose furniture. Couches that become beds, really creative storage solutions under stairs or seats. It's an exercise in making every single square inch functional.
The source mentions different ways people get into tiny living, like buying a pre-set up camper or converting a shed.
Right. Sheds are apparently quite popular because they're affordable and house-shaped, easy to wire and plumb.
Or building your own custom home or buying pre-made designs like those Hobbit homes you sometimes see.
Yeah. But the why is really the key here.
Okay.
The source points out that people choose this lifestyle primarily because it forces you to have less stuff. It naturally shifts your focus away from possessions and more towards relationships.
And I guess living in such close quarters, like the example of a family of 5 and 700 square feet, that demands communication.
Absolutely. It requires it. It can really strengthen bonds, especially maybe helping with communication with teenagers, the source suggests.
And the simplicity must be a major draw, too.
Oh, yeah. The source notes the amazing feeling of being able to clean your entire living space in maybe 20 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
which encourages you to maintain a tidy routine and frees up just a significant amount of time compared to cleaning a larger home.
It's a powerful, inspiring way to make the minimalist philosophy incredibly real and tangible, I suppose. You're not just minimizing clutter, you're minimizing your entire physical footprint.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the why and some of these more extreme examples, but for most people starting out, the hardest part's just confronting the stuff they already own.
Mm.
The source is very direct about this challenge.
Yeah, it says the toughest hurdle isn't necessarily not buying new things, although that's hard too, let's be honest.
Right.
But it's actually getting rid of what you already have. It triggers those fears like, oh, but what if I need this later? And it requires overcoming some real emotional attachment sometimes.
So the source lays out a process, starting with the most basic level of decluttering. How does that work?
Think of it like a series of escalating challenges. Step one is relatively straightforward.
Huh?
Anything you haven't used in over a year goes. Pretty standard decluttering advice.
Okay.
But the crucial insight here isn't just clearing the space initially. It's committing to maintain that lower level and not immediately reacquiring unnecessary items to fill the void.
Right. Avoiding the rebound clutter.
Yeah.
Step two then tightens the time frame.
Yep. Anything unused in 6 months should be considered for removal. This includes items sitting in storage units unless they're genuinely seasonal things you actually use.
Gotcha. Storage units can be a trap.
Huge trap. Step 3 is where it often gets difficult, according to the source.
Is that?
Because it involves tougher decisions, maybe letting go of more expensive items like gadgets you don't use. This step uses a 3-month rule and also introduces a frivolous rule for non-work-related leisure items. Think like golf clubs or boats if they're just sitting there.
Okay, so getting more serious. What about heirlooms and photos?
The source suggests keeping only truly irreplaceable family heirlooms. And for photos, maybe make digital copies to eliminate those bulky albums. This step really pushes you to confront the value you place on possessions versus memories or actual utility.
That sounds tough. And step 4.
Step 4 is presented as the most extreme. It applies a 1-month rule for anything unused.
1 month. Wow.
This could mean evaluating things like having multiple TVs or the latest, most expensive phone if you don't really need its features. The source even controversially suggests considering getting rid of non-essential internet or devices if they aren't needed for work.
Whoa, okay. That's intense.
It is, though it acknowledges this is a really high bar for most people today. But the source notes that from step 4 onwards, selling items becomes a more viable option as the things you're letting go of are often more valuable.
Right. And speaking of avoiding new acquisitions, the source points out certain places that act as, what does it call them? Minimalist kryptonite?
Yeah. These are places filled with potential impulse buys, even if they seem innocent.
Life.
Flea markets and thrift stores are examples. Great for selling or finding specific items to repurpose, maybe.
Sure.
But also dangerous because they're full of interesting things at low prices that can just pull you right back into the cycle of buying stuff you don't truly need.
So the key is to go with a purpose.
Exactly. Go with a list, not just to browse. Garage sales are called the bane of a minimalist's existence.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
They're designed for getting rid of clutter, but often they just encourage other people to acquire more cheap junk they don't need, and the free pile left over at the end.
Even worse.
Even more alluring because it costs nothing. But the source warns it's often just unwanted items that basically undo all your hard decluttering work. Brings you right back to square one.
Okay, so avoid the kryptonite. Once you've decided what to let go of, how do you actually move it out? The source gives several methods.
Right. Holding your own garage sale is one option. The simple tip there is price things aggressively to sell fast rather than trying to maximize every penny.
Makes sense. Get it gone.
Get it gone. Selling online is another really powerful tool. The source lists various options from the big names like Craigslist and eBay to more niche apps for specific things like cars, furniture, or local sales.
What's the key takeaway for selling online, besides the platforms?
Safety. The source really stresses this. Always deal in cash if possible. Avoid checks or payment apps that aren't fully verified. Keep your personal information private. And trust your gut if something feels sketchy. Meeting in a public place for transactions is also always a good idea.
Good advice. Well,
Recycling for cash is another practical tip. Things like old car batteries, electronics, even ink cartridges can often be redeemed for small amounts of money or gift cards.
and the source suggests putting that towards.
Essentials, or maybe starting that emergency fund we'll talk about later. Every little bit helps.
Okay. And finally, donating.
Yeah, donating. The source notes you can get a tax credit, plus it feels good to contribute.
True.
However, it also raises a point about some large, well-known charities maybe having high overhead costs or profits going to executives.
Mm.
So it suggests that donating directly to local homeless shelters, food banks, or even individuals you know are in need might ensure the items go where they are most impactful, even if you don't get a formal tax write-off.
That's an interesting perspective. So implementing all of this sounds like a pretty significant undertaking. And it brings us to one of the biggest challenges, I think, applying minimalism when you have a family, especially with kids.
Oh, absolutely. And the source doesn't sugarcoat it at all. No. It acknowledges that modern childhoods, fueled by easy online ordering and just endless options, can feel like a massive chaos.
Yeah, tell me about it.
And this can contribute to anxiety and stress in kids. Parents often rely on devices just for convenience, which can inadvertently feed this whole environment.
But here's a really powerful insight from the source. That feeling of being overwhelmed daily is, to a significant degree, actually a choice.
A choice, how so?
While parents have the agency to make intentional decisions that can shift the family dynamic away from that chaos.
Okay, so minimalism then becomes a framework for instilling different values.
Exactly. Instead of prioritizing material gifts all the time, the source suggests trading gifts for gratitude,
How does that work?
teaching kids that the true meaning of holidays and special occasions focuses on connection, life, love, family time, not just presents. Special gifts then become more meaningful when they're occasional, not constant.
That makes sense. What else?
Trading endless children-centric activities for intentional family time, like having regular family meals together.
Ah, the family dinner.
Yeah, which the source highlights as leading to better outcomes for kids, including higher academic achievement. It's about underscheduling sometimes, to create space for genuine connection through things like game nights or shared family traditions.
I like that term, underscheduling.
Me too.
Mhm.
Prioritizing health by trading prepared food for healthy local options and having designated meal times is another area where minimalism can influence family life.
And crucially, trading screen time for outdoor time.
Oh, big one.
Huge. The source is really passionate about the benefits of kids spending time outside physical activity, learning about nature, developing motor and social skills, just appreciating the world beyond screens.
And ultimately, the parent serves as the primary role model for embracing this joy of calmness over the chaos of consumerism.
The joy of calmness, I like that too. So, what does this look like in practice, and how does it actually impact the children themselves? The source lists several potential positive effects.
Right? Kids can become more grateful, apparently, taking better care of the few things they have and genuinely appreciating those occasional special gifts.
Okay.
Their creative imagination can blossom because they aren't constantly being passively entertained. They learn to use everyday objects for play, kind of like we maybe did more as kids.
Yeah, definitely. Less prescribed play. And with less screen time, they can develop better social skills through more interaction with family and peers.
Stronger sibling bonds can form in a less distracted environment, too. The source shares an anecdote about their own kids getting along well, attributing it partly to having fewer distractions and more shared space, which tiny living obviously exacerbates.
Interesting.
Kids might also become more creative in general, honing skills and building confidence when their focus isn't dispersed across countless toys or digital inputs. They can become more content, maybe, with less exposure to tech and constant consumer advertising.
And the source suggests it fosters an awareness of community through experiences like donating stuff, teaching them about giving back and understanding the world beyond their immediate wants.
All of this, ideally, can lead to a calmer life for the whole family. Less friction around chores, screens, managing possessions, just creating a more peaceful home environment.
Okay, that sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do this with kids? That feels daunting. The source offers some practical tips, right?
It does. First, limit new things mostly at special occasions or maybe specific budgets. This helps manage expectations and teaches patience and appreciation.
Okay.
And avoid buying things impulsively just to avoid tantrums in the moment in public. We've all been tempted.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
Ah,
Communication with relatives about gifts is also key.
the grandparent deluge.
Exactly. Suggesting experiences, gift cards, or things that encourage outdoor activity or skills rather than just more physical toys can help reduce the influx of stuff you then have to manage. The source acknowledges it can feel awkward, but says it's worth it in the long run. And don't feel guilty about letting some gifts go later if they aren't used or loved.
Okay, what about helping kids cultivate clutter-free habits themselves?
The source suggests letting their room be their space to manage within reason. This gives them ownership and can be a motivator.
Hmm.
But crucially, lead by example. Let them see you decluttering and making conscious choices about your own stuff.
Right. Walk the talk.
You can also make decluttering a game, maybe, and involve them in the process, letting them help decide what to donate or pack away. This helps them understand the purpose and feel a sense of contribution.
Good idea.
Practice mindful consumption with them. Teach them to think before they ask for something, to take care of the things they have, and to value quality over just quantity.
And reduce media exposure.
Yeah, especially things with heavy advertising. It helps lessen that external pressure to constantly want new things. The source notes commercial-free options like Netflix or older gaming systems can be better than constant cable TV ads. And the core message here is really not to feel guilty about limiting things. The source argues you're not depriving them. You're actually enhancing their development and teaching valuable life skills.
That's a good reframe.
Yeah.
And what about large families? The source says it's definitely possible.
Absolutely possible, though it acknowledges it takes significant willpower and, coordinated effort with more people contributing items and needing things.
I can imagine.
But the payoff, however, is described as a smoother running machine, less mess, more space, and actually more money available for quality purchases because the focus shifts away from just quantity.
So what are some key strategies for larger families?
Implementing systems like rotating playthings is a big one. Storing items in bins, maybe by category, like art stuff, outdoor toys, dolls, building sets, and swapping them out periodically.
So forgotten toys feel new again.
Exactly. And kids aren't overwhelmed by having everything out at once. Then eventually you can donate the ones that aren't getting much play.
Smart. What else?
Another kind of counterintuitive tip is having fewer dishes and silverware.
Fewer dishes?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The source's insight is that if there are simply less available, kids and adults take out fewer, which reduces the amount of post-meal clutter and cleaning. They specifically mention getting rid of all the plastic cups and sippy cups in favor of regular, maybe matched sets.
Interesting. Fewer options, less mess.
Right. Reducing occasional items, like maybe having fewer totes of holiday decorations, also makes a big difference when multiplied across a large household. And doubling down on experiences, park visits, free community events, maybe saving for a family vacation becomes even more valuable than buying yet more toys when there are many kids.
Makes sense. Okay, so beyond the initial decluttering, maintaining a minimalist home requires ongoing habits. The source offers some practical tips for this day-to-day stuff.
It does. One big one is keeping flat surfaces, clear counters, tables, desks, etc.
The clutter magnets.
Totally. This involves daily tidying, even just 5 minutes, and having designated spots for items rather than letting them just accumulate there.
Okay, what else?
Leaving breathing room in closets is another simple but effective tip. When closets aren't crammed full, it's just psychologically easier to put clothes away properly.
True, especially for kids.
Right. Matching kitchenware can simplify things dramatically, too. Using sets of plates, bowls, cups reduces visual clutter and makes organizing cabinets much easier than having a mishmash of styles.
I can see that.
The source suggests using trash day as a positive motivator. Like, the day before, make a point of going through one drawer or one box of old papers or a pantry shelf specifically to find things to fill those bins. Keep the outflow going.
Nice little ritual.
Yeah. And establishing an evening routine where everyone, including kids, helps put their own things away before bed. It sets a positive tone, reduces morning stress, and reinforces that habit of putting things back in their place.
Good habits. Now, minimalism isn't just about physical space, is it? It also applies to your time and routines. The source talks about editing your life.
Yeah, I like that phrase, editing your life. It involves shifting from maybe a rigid, always rushed routine to a more flexible, efficient flow that reduces anxiety.
How do you start that?
It starts with simple habits like preparing things the night before, choosing your outfit, making a lunch, writing a quick to-do list for the morning just to avoid that frantic morning panic.
Okay.
The source provides a more structured way to think about this too. First, determine your priorities.
Beyond just a to-do list.
Yeah, go deeper. Clarify your ideal lifestyle, your core values, what truly matters, so you can allocate your resources, time, effort, money accordingly.
Right. Know your why.
Exactly. Then create schedule modules. Group similar activities into blocks of time, like a pre-work block, commute, work block, lunch, evening routine block, sleep block. It helps maximize efficiency within those periods.
Makes sense.
And finally, identify and plan how to handle friction points.
Friction points.
Yeah, habits, situations, maybe even people that act as time suckers or create unnecessary stress in your day. Having a plan for how to navigate them.
Okay. What are some other ways the source suggests simplifying your family's day?
These often involve building new habits and setting boundaries, like having a designated spot right by the door for incoming items, mail, keys, bags, shoes, helps prevent clutter from spreading immediately upon entering the home.
The landing strip.
Yeah. Learning to say no is crucial too. Saying no to unnecessary commitments or impulse purchases for yourself and for your kids. Protecting your time and energy.
That can be hard.
It really can. The source also called practicing gratitude the doorway to a simpler life.
Also,
When you genuinely appreciate what you already have, the desire for more naturally diminishes. Wanting less, it argues, is actually even more impactful than just owning less.
interesting distinction.
Embracing the idea of one can be helpful in practical ways too. Like one reusable water bottle per person reduces the need for tons of different cups cluttering the cabinets and dishwasher.
Good example.
Simplifying tasks like cleaning and cooking also contribute. Using fewer, maybe non-toxic or zero-waste cleaning products reduces the number of bottles under the sink.
Right.
And embracing one-pot cooking methods using appliances like crock pots, rice cookers, instant pots means fewer dishes to wash afterwards. Big win.
Definitely a win.
And finally, intentionally planning days with nothing planned.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
Me too. Not just filling the time with screens or junk food, but truly unscheduled time for rest, reflection, and spontaneous connection as a family. Recharging.
That sounds lovely. Okay, this leads us seamlessly into the final major area the source tackles. Applying minimalism to your finances. Minimalist budgeting.
Yeah, and the source makes it really clear this isn't optional if you want the full benefits. It's presented as essential for truly living a minimalist life and eliminating those common stressors like financial worry and family conflict over money.
It's fundamentally about taking control then.
Exactly, taking control. The source outlines various income sources to consider, not just salary, but bonuses, money from selling items online, freelance work, maybe even tax refunds, which it strongly suggests should go straight into savings.
Okay. And expenses.
It provides quite detailed categories for expenses, which is key to actually seeing where your money is going. It covers the basics like housing, food, transportation, but also includes a category called likes.
Likes, what are those?
These are described as non-essential wants, things you'd like but don't immediately need. The idea is you might allocate a specific, small savings amount towards them rather than just buying them impulsively whenever you see them.
Planned wants.
Kind of. The core principle is setting clear boundaries for your monthly spending in each category and then sticking to them, which requires family teamwork, including the kids, depending on their age.
Right. Get everyone on board.
Yeah. And the insight is that this isn't about deprivation. It's about consciously removing spending that doesn't align with your core values or actual needs, cutting the fluff.
The source even suggests looking at hobbies or small side gigs as ways to earn extra money, specifically for savings or emergencies.
It does, like selling crafts or delivering papers, things that can build up that emergency fund faster. And circling back to an earlier point, living in a smaller home with fewer possessions naturally reduces expenses over time, once you get honest about your true needs versus wants.
It all connects.
It really does. It's about finding satisfaction with less clutter and less financial pressure, not feeling deprived.
So how do you actually implement this financial control? The source goes through several systems and strategies for mastering a minimalist budget.
Right. First, you need to choose a system that actually works for you. It has to fit your personality and needs.
What are the options mentioned?
Well, there's basic pen and paper or using spreadsheets, lots of free templates online. These require you to manually track and calculate.
Okay.
Then there are more tactile methods like the envelope budget.
The cash and envelope system.
Exactly. You put cash for different categories, groceries, entertainment, clothes, into labeled envelopes each month. When the cash in an envelope is gone, the spending in that category stops, period. It's very visual.
Very clear boundary.
Very clear. It also discusses the popular 50-30-20 rule.
How does that work again?
You allocate percentages of your after-tax income. So 50% goes to essentials, your absolute needs, like housing, utilities, food, minimum debt payments.
Okay.
30% goes to wants, luxuries, like dining out, entertainment, hobbies, non-essential clothes.
Got it.
And the remaining 20% goes directly to savings, building your emergency fund, or paying down debt faster than the minimums.
Any insight there?
The fewer wants you classify or indulge in, the more financial breathing room you create, allowing more to go towards that crucial 20% slice.
Makes sense. What about practical steps?
Practical steps are critical. Creating a bill pay checklist helps organize due dates and avoid late fees. Simple but effective.
Yeah.
But the most crucial step, underlined multiple times in the source, is tracking every single expense for at least a month.
Every single one, even the small stuff.
Especially the small stuff. The coffees, the vending machine snack, keeping every receipt or noting it down immediately. This level of detailed tracking is where you truly see where your money is actually going.
That sounds like work.
It is work initially, but it's the absolute foundation for identifying where cuts can realistically be made and for avoiding those nasty surprises like unexpected overdrafts or having zero balance at the end of the month.
Okay, track everything. Then what?
Regularly reconcile your checking account. Even if you use apps, manually check statements sometimes to catch errors or fees and really understand your cash flow. Then, based on all that tracking, create a simple, maybe even visually appealing budget that helps you stick to your spending boundaries going forward.
And set goals.
Yes. The source stresses the importance of setting realistic financial goals short, medium, and long term. Maybe saving for a down payment, paying off a specific debt, building that emergency fund. Identifying these goals helps you prioritize spending and saving. Sometimes it requires making, as the source puts it, ruthless cuts in non-essential areas to actually achieve them.
Okay, so identifying those non-essential expenditures becomes much easier once you've tracked everything.
Exactly. You can look at your categorized spending report and clearly see which areas don't align with your minimalist values or your stated needs and goals. The impulse buys, the unused subscriptions.
Right, and when you do make new purchases.
The source advises focusing on quality that lasts less is more applies here too. And paying with cash whenever possible to avoid the stress and the literal cost of adding debt.
That emergency fund seems really important in this philosophy.
It's presented as a crucial priority. The goal is aiming for 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses saved up in an easily accessible place, but not your regular checking account.
Why so much emphasis?
Because it provides a vital safety net. It reduces financial vulnerability if you lose a job, have a medical issue, or face any unexpected major expense. It prevents you from having to go into debt for emergencies. The source even suggests checking your tax withholding. Maybe you're getting a huge refund you could get month to month instead, if you have the discipline to save that extra bit.
Interesting angle. What about dealing with existing debt?
That's covered too. The source basically encourages listeners to become a credit hater.
A credit hater.
Well, in the sense of avoiding reckless use of credit cards just because you can make the minimum payment, or financing things like cars unnecessarily if you could save up instead. It warns strongly against high-interest traps like payday loans, the buy now, pay later nightmare.
Okay, avoid bad debt. What about negotiating bills?
Yes, negotiating bills, particularly things like medical bills or maybe even student loans, is highlighted as a proactive strategy.
How do you do that?
The source's advice is to be persistent, polite, but also very upfront about your financial situation, ideally before the bill becomes delinquent. Call the billing department, explain your situation, ask for discounts sometimes they exist, especially if paying upfront.
Really?
Yeah. State clearly what you can afford to pay per month, try to negotiate terms, and then crucially, stick to that agreement to maintain any discount or payment plan. Remember, insurance companies negotiate all the time. Individuals can too.
Good point. Reducing utility costs is another area mentioned for savings.
Right. Practical tips here include using passive solar heating opening blinds during the day in winter, closing them at night. Reducing energy used by bathroom or kitchen exhaust fans, replacing furnace filters regularly so the system runs efficiently, using ceiling fans in reverse mode in winter to push warm air down, lowering the thermostat a couple of degrees at night, apparently better for sleep and saves money, and making sure furniture isn't blocking vents.
Simple stuff. What about water?
For water, investing in low-flow fixtures like shower heads and toilets can save a lot over time. And regularly checking for leaks, dripping faucets, leaky pipes. Those are necessary expenses to fix promptly because they just waste money constantly.
Makes sense. The source acknowledges that overhauling spending habits is hard work, though, right?
Oh, yeah. It requires real discipline and confronting maybe emotional connections to buying things. It reiterates that phrase, you cannot have it all and more is less, suggesting that as you calm your emotions and desires, the urge to spend often dwindles naturally.
And reward yourself sometimes.
Yes. It's hard work, and the source definitely recommends rewarding yourself within your budget, of course, when you achieve specific financial goals. A small celebration can keep motivation high.
Okay. Key pitfalls to avoid or recap too.
Yes, mainly. Credit cards that lead to overspending and hitting limits, unnecessary vehicle financing that locks you into payments, banking overdraft fees, and those high-interest payday loans. These are presented as debt traps that just dig you deeper and undermine financial peace.
Got it. And the core financial priorities are reinforced again.
They are: number one, emergency savings, that 3 to 6 months buffer. Number two, saving long-term for major purchases like a home or car if needed. And number three, tackling and removing existing debt aggressively. Your budget helps you set goals for these.
And fundamentally, it comes down to knowing what money is coming in and going out.
Absolutely fundamental. Living within your means. Understanding your income after all deductions, taxes, insurance, 401k contributions, match the employer contribution if you can, etc. And then tracking every expense to see where the money's actually going and where cuts can realistically be made.
The source lists signs of financial trouble to watch out for as well.
It does. Things like maxed out credit cards, zero balance or overdrawn bank accounts frequently, having no emergency fund at all, running out of money before the end of the month, resorting to payday loans, or opening new credit cards just to pay off old debt. Those are red flags.
Okay, so wrapping up the benefits of a minimalist budget.
The benefits are clear according to the source. It redirects your priorities because you see the spending. It reveals waste. It significantly reduces stress by giving you a sense of control and empowerment. And it improves motivation toward achieving your financial goals.
So it's hard work and discipline,
Definitely.
but it leads to building that nest egg and being ready for unexpected emergencies.
That's the promise. The source concludes by framing this whole shift minimalism in stuff and finances as a really positive change. Living with less is presented as a blessing. Uncovering savings by removing waste, physical and financial, and maintaining that budget ensures INS for whatever the future holds.
Wow. Okay, so we've taken a really comprehensive deep dive into this listener's source material on minimalism. We've explored its definition, its history, its practical application in daily life.
Yeah, its profound impact on family dynamics, which was really interesting.
Definitely. And its essential role in financial well-being.
It's clear that this isn't just about, having a tidy house. Its position is a very conscious, even countercultural choice.
Yeah, focused on prioritizing experiences, relationships, and maybe peace of mind over just the endless accumulation of possessions.
And we've seen how reducing that physical clutter can dramatically reduce mental stress and free up so much precious time, making life feel more intentional and hopefully more enjoyable.
We've explored that often difficult process of actually letting go of possessions and looked at smart ways to find new homes for items selling, recycling, donating.
Right, keeping those minimalist kryptonite places in mind.
Yes. And we've really dug into the practical side of minimalist finances, from choosing a budgeting system that works for you and tracking every single dollar to building that crucial emergency fund and avoiding those debt traps, all aimed at reducing financial stress and building real security.
It's definitely presented as a journey, isn't it? One requiring willpower and discipline, especially when you're navigating it with a family. It's not an overnight fix.
No, absolutely not.
But the source makes a pretty compelling case, I think, that the rewards, more time, less stress, deeper connections, financial peace, are profoundly transformational and really well worth the effort involved.
Ultimately, the message seems to be less about living without and more about thoughtfully choosing what truly adds value to your life and then letting go of what doesn't, enabling you to live a more full, happy, and meaningful life with intention.
Well said. So, after diving through all of that, what single idea or takeaway from this deep dive resonated most strongly with you?
It's a good question. I think for me, it really crystallizes this final thought. If, as the source suggests, happiness isn't truly derived from the things we own, then what is the real cost beyond just the purchase price of keeping things you don't genuinely need or love? What are we paying in time, energy, and focus?